Welcome back to another episode of Catch This Now. I am your host, Tiffany Hodge, and today we will discuss mindfulness. What is mindfulness? We're going to go over some key elements to mindfulness. We're going to talk about some benefits and some ways you can start your practice today. So make sure you have your notebooks and your handy dandy pen or that pencil so you can jot down some of the most important parts of this episode. Let's get into it. I'm super excited that you all have decided to join me. We're going to go right into it. What is mindfulness? Again, I do work with some people, a lot of people, and I try to do some behavioral interventions, if you will. And mindfulness is one of those techniques that we try to help people incorporate in their daily life when it comes to some mental health concerns and challenges. So, mindfulness really just means we're going to pay attention to the present moment without judging or trying to change it. This involves, being aware or being a good observer, if you will, of your thoughts, your feelings, and sensations without getting caught up in them. Um, that's one of the great things that I like about mindfulness. It really gives us the ability to be in the present moment, recognize where we are, but not get hung up in it. Basically, that and in a nutshell of what mindfulness is. There are some key factors or some key elements that I want you to be aware of when you are practicing your mindfulness, or if this is new for you and you're trying to get into mindfulness. Here are two key elements that I think you need to know. And it really ties into what this podcast is all about and what my platform is all about across the board of social media and in my community is basic. Number one is awareness. You have to be aware of where you are. You got to notice your thoughts, your feelings, and these sensations as they are happening to you. The goal isn't to stop thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? It is to become more aware of your experience while you're in it. I like to think of mindfulness as like a moment when we get a gust of wind. So if you're standing outside and you're just there and it's just a calm, cool day, and then all of a sudden you hear this wind and you feel it, right? That's an experience. It's in the moment you felt it. But guess what you can't do to that wind? You can't hold on to it. You can't catch it. So that's what mindfulness reminds me of. It's just we're out there on a nice sunny day and the birds are chirping and everything is fine. And then here comes this gust of wind. And we are to just experience that wind. We cannot live in it because it's going to move on, just like that feeling, just like that thought, and maybe that sensation. But we are aware that we had a gust of wind that just passed us. That's the purpose of the awareness. Is okay, I acknowledge that this happened, but I cannot hold on to it. I've experienced it, and I gotta move on. I can't get lost in that moment, right? That's the beauty of mindfulness. Is being able to, again, I can't stress it enough, to just say, hey, yes, I'm experiencing this, but I cannot live there. Another thing about it is acceptance, right to what I was just talking about. Hey, this happened, and I must accept that I cannot live in this because I'm going to miss the next moment if I just harbor and stay in this moment. So, noticing your experience without judging or trying to change it, right? Again, let's think about it on another scale as far as anxiety goes. I may be simply having an anxious moment, right? That is a true thing that happens. I may become anxious, and I could just simply say to myself, you know what, I'm feeling anxious right now. And I can be in that moment for a minute, but I can't allow it to dictate the entire day, right? So I can't get lost in that anxious moment, but I must accept it, I must acknowledge it, and I must allow it, just like that wind, to pass through. Now, I'm not speaking of those to individuals that may have an anxiety disorder. That is something totally different. So I'm speaking of those of us that may experience these things that do not meet a criteria for anxiety disorder. So let me be very clear of who I'm speaking to here. If you are actually working with a therapist about your anxiety, please continue to work with them. You may want to bring up a conversation with them about, hey, do you think mindfulness may be something that I can incorporate in helping me with my anxiety? I overheard another licensed master social worker talking about mindfulness, and I want to see if it may benefit me and my anxiety. So you can bring up these things to your current therapist or your counselor to see if these things will be beneficial to you. But please do not take what I am saying and go and just do it. If you're already working with someone and you have a diagnosis of anxiety disorder, please continue to follow the advice and the guidance of your current provider. I want to make that very clear. Okay. Another thing that I want to cover here is also about some benefits. So we're going to go over some benefits of how mindfulness may be able to help us in these areas. All right. So make sure again you have your pencil and your paper and you're writing these things down. The key factors that we just reviewed was awareness and acceptance. We want to be aware of our thoughts, our feelings, and our sensations as they happen. And we also want to be able to accept these things, noticing the experience without judging or trying to change. All right, the benefits of mindfulness. We're going to go over about six of these things here. We're going to help us decrease the depression and anxiety. We live in a society now that everything is either or. We're either depressed about it or is making us anxious. And so how are we able to navigate in that space? And mindfulness is a good tool to help us navigate and decrease it. Did you hear I'm saying decrease? It's not going to totally eliminate, but we are just trying to decrease these things. Number two, we're going to try to help us improve our memory and focus. We are a very popcorn generation. We need it now, we want it now. So our focus and our attention, it's pretty short, and due to the amount of technology and the amount of information that we're receiving at any given time. So our focus may be off, and our memory, I know mine, I can only speak for myself. Our memory, my memory may not be as good as it once was before we became inundated with so much information in such a short amount of time. But mindfulness can help us improve that memory and that focus. Number three, it can also help us improve resilience to stress. Listen, good people, stress just is. We all experience it, and we can become resilient in it through mindfulness. Mindfulness can actually help us improve our resilience for dealing with our stress. Number four, we may get a greater satisfaction in our relationships with people, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with the universe, our relationship at work. Just being able to be in the moments and practice mindfulness, we can potentially see some greater satisfaction if we are able to center ourselves and focus here and really be in the present moment, paying attention. Number five, less overthinking or obsessing. We cannot obsess in something if we are in the moment. You can't do both. You can't obsess or overthink and be in the moment. So when we are able to actually be mindful of, this is where I am, this is what I'm experiencing, and I'm going to allow that thing to be, and then I'm going to move on and I want to say moving on looks different for everyone. So make sure that you, if you're working with a mental health professional, that you are going over like what that looks like for you, and you're writing these things down and you're actually practicing it. If you're currently not working with a mental health professional, I would advise you to help you process and go through these things, making sure that you're not overthinking or being obsessive in your thoughts. Um, Doing that through the mindfulness practice. And last but not least, we're going to improve the ability to manage emotions. I have a little stick about emotions. I my personal opinion. This is personal off the record. This nobody told me this. This is Tiffany's personal opinion. I think emotions are overrated. I think we take them and we are abusing them, and we as a society have gotten so far and so consumed with how we are feeling that it is now taking over our logic. And so, being in a present moment, mindfulness can help us learn to balance that and manage it, because we should be able to manage our emotions so that we can make a logical decision. So, maybe one day I will go over, I'll do a podcast about why I think emotions are so overrated, but not today. So we want to be able to improve the ability to manage those things. And what does that look like for me? And how am I actually managing those things? And mindfulness is a really great tool to put into your toolbox so that you can actually see the benefits, see the improvement of your resilience to your stress, your decrease in anxiety or depression, improving your mental health, your focus and your memory, decreasing that overthinking and the obsessive behaviors that we have. And maybe you'll see some greater satisfaction in relationships while all managing your emotions. These are some of the great benefits to mindfulness. And in this last part, we're going to talk about 4 practices that you can actually try today that can actually help you start your mindfulness journey if you're interested in actually starting it. All right. Mindfulness practices. Some I recommend some that some, again, if you're working with a mental health professional, make sure that you're asking them about these things and that they're able to actually help you with these. I think the body scan is the one that I would actually say you want to get with someone professionally that can help you actually complete that, so you know exactly what is supposed to be happening and how you're actually supposed to be doing it. I'm going to give you just a brief overview of it, but again, consult with a mental health professional in your area or that you're currently working with before starting any of these practices, or the body scan at least. But the mindfulness meditation you can do on your own. A lot of people don't like to meditate because they don't like silence. Silence is beautiful. We must have it. How are we ever to receive and get information, and how are we ever to really decompress, if you will, if we're never silent? We're always on go. We always got something going. We always over here. We always over there. When do you ever have a moment to just meditate? And mindfulness meditation is one of those great ways to do it. Typically, you are in a seated position in a comfortable place, and you are paying attention to the most important part when you are meditating, which is your breath. Breathing is very important. You want to notice that sensation. You want to notice the air that's filling up those lungs. You want to slowly allow that sensation or that breath to leave your body at that time. Here's the key about meditation. Your mind is going to wander. Yes, it is. It's just going to do it. We're going to think about the groceries. We're going to think about the kids. We're going to think about, did I wash? We're going to think about all kind of things. Here's the beauty of mindfulness. You're not going to ignore that thought. You're going to allow it to be, but you're going to try your best to pull yourself back into thinking about your breath, paying attention to your breath. We're going to just simply notice that thought. Yeah, I have that thought, right? But I'm going to turn all of my attention again back to that breath. I think it's one of the most powerful things that we can do. Mindfulness meditation is something you could do anywhere, but they really suggest that you do it in a seated, comfortable position where you can actually pay attention to that breath. We can also do mindfulness walk. Here's another good one that you can do at work. You can do in Walmart, you can do in Target, you can do it dealers, you can do it at the fair, you do it wherever you are, right? Practicing mindfulness while you walking, you want to first notice your body movement. One foot in front of the other. Who even notices what foot do they lead off with? Do you lead off with your right foot or your left foot? Pay attention to those things. Then expand your awareness to your surroundings. Did you notice that bird that just flew by you? Did you notice that there was a pothole right there? How long has that hole been there? Did you notice the trees are blooming? Did you notice the fragrance of the flowers as you pass them by? Do you notice the bird chirping in the air? These are the things that you can pull your attention, your awareness to while you are walking, but paying attention to your surroundings. Growing up, that's what they used to tell us. You need to pay attention to where you at, boo, because you things are happening and we're so consumed with technology and getting in and getting out, we're not aware of our surroundings. You like, that wasn't there last week when I came in here. What is that? Why is he, it's these things that will help us pay attention to our surroundings. Mindfulness is a great way to do that. What do you see? Basically is what I'm saying. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? These techniques can be used, right? Again, all day. You know, that mindfulness walk is a super duper one. I actually practice that myself, because I think it's just easy. It's easy to do and it's easy to pull you in and slow you down, so you can pay attention. Again, let's talk about that body scan. This is the one that I would really recommend. If you're going to do this, make sure you're working with a professional that can help you go through that. What does that look like and how you are to navigate through that space. But when you're doing a body scan, you want to pay attention to the physical sensations throughout your body. Let's talk about those physical sensations. What are those? I'm talking about the chemical releases in our body that we don't like to talk about: serotonin, dopamine, and adrenaline, epinephrine, all of those chemicals that are in our body by design. Those are the physical sensations that I'm referring to. And if you are not, you're like, what is she talking about? Please look up those because they are being released in your body every single day. So look up serotonin, look up dopamine, look up adrenaline, look up epinephrine, and see what those things do to your body and how you are responding to those things. So when you're doing a body scan, those are the physical sensations that you're trying to pay attention to. So you want to start from the bottom and work your way up, right? You're going to start from your feet. You're going to move up to your legs, paying attention to that groin area, your abdomen, your chest, your back, your shoulders, and your arms, your hands, your neck, and your face. In each part of your body, you want to spend between 15 to 1 minute on each part of the body. So I'm going to spend 15 seconds to a minute just noticing that sensation in my feet. What does that feel like? Do I even feel the blood? Oh, wait. Uh-oh, my feet are swelling. Those things, paying attention to that. That's that body scan. So I mean, you can probably do it independently, but I really highly recommend you working with a professional to help you really through that moment because we can get lost in that. And and that is what we're trying to avoid by doing mindfulness, is not getting lost in it. And last but not least, we're going to check into those five senses. This is something that we learn all in kindergarten. And sometimes we forget that these things are so powerful and they still do work. And so we're going to simply pay attention to every sense we have. But we're going to do it in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, right? So we're going to spend about how much ever time you can. And some people may have longer times than others. But we're going to notice 5 things that we see. Notice them, think about them, look at them, see if you can even remember them. That will help with that memorization and that helps with that focus. We're going to spend four. I'm about to say number four. We're going to find 4 things that you feel. Remember growing up, well, I have small children too. So remember how you used to have these like that felt, and then you had the little squishy things in the Ziploc bag with the glitter and slime and all of those things. Like, what do you feel? Like, I don't like the feel of polyester sometimes. It just feels really weird. But what is it that you feel? Even if it's feeling your partner, like what does his face or her face feel like? What does her arms feel like? What do you feel like in the shower? So 4 things that you feel, 3 things that you hear. What is it that you hear? And are you able to remember that sound? And again, see, that's going to put you back on one of those benefits, right? What is it that I'm hearing? How is it making me feel? Things like that, right? And then 2 things that you smell. Do you smell your food before we just eat it? Because we're inhaling food now because we don't have time to really sit and eat. Are you do you smell your own cologne or that perfume that you buy? What does that smell like? And one thing that you taste. Back to eating. Are you tasting that strawberry? Are you tasting that grapefruit? Are you tasting that pizza? Are you tasting that kale or that spinach or that smoothie or whatever it is you're eating? What is that? And what does that taste like for you? So I hope you have found this information very helpful to you. Go back and listen to this again. Remember, there is a guided imagery meditation um, that I did a couple years ago. You can go back and listen to that and allow that to be a guide for you. If you just want to hear how guided imagery goes, that is available to you. I also want to turn your attention to some great workshops that I have uploaded already on my website. We have a dating with kids workshop coming up August 10th. It is virtual. You can purchase tickets now. They are available on my website. For all my mental health professionals that are listening to this podcast, I want to thank you and let you know that I do have a continuing education unit available. I'm waiting for the approval from the Georgia Clinical Society of Social Workers to approve the 3 core hours, but it is now available for you to go and download. Or excuse me, not download, but to join. I got 3 separate dates coming up. I think it is July, August, and September, right before we renew in the state of Georgia. So if you need some additional CEUs, please head on over to my website and check that out as well. If you're over there, make sure you sign up for my newsletter so you can stay connected with me outside of social media. Um, that is www.tiffanyempowers.me. And you can explore my webpage and see all the kind of fun stuff that is there, as well as find links to all the current podcasts that I've had and some services, some resources. Just go over there and check out and see what I have. I also have some digital worksheets that are available to you coming up May 8th. I will be doing a free Zoom meeting going over the self-care assessment handout that is available to be downloaded. So make sure that you download that. Once you've downloaded it, you will get a link to the meeting, and I look forward to seeing you on May 8th at 7 p.m. It's a Zoom meeting where I will walk with you hand and foot through the worksheet to make sure that you're going to get the benefit of it and you can actually go and start using those things and putting them into play. All right. So I know that was a lot. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. And I thank you for sharing and being a part of this growing platform that I have. I'm super excited this year to offer some really good insight questions and some really good interviews, hopefully coming up in the next couple of sessions. But next week, I want you to join me because I am going to cover. Um, building resilience, understanding resilience and its role in self care. So make sure that you join me and you let everybody know that next week we're going to be building resilience. Make sure again you have subscribed and those notifications are on. I would love again to connect with you outside of this podcast. So please, here's a couple ways you can do that. You can join my monthly newsletter to stay in the loop for upcoming events and virtual workshops. You can always find me on any social media platform that you may be on. Just search my name, Tiffany Empowers. You can visit the website again to sign up for that newsletter at www.tiffanyempowers.me. Again, until next week, stay engaged. Continue to educate yourself and embrace the enlightenment as it comes.